Hi, everyone. I'm Ashley Ingalls-Ross with the Huntsville-Madison County Chamber. We're just a few weeks away from the Small Business Award application deadline, and our team wanted to take this opportunity to review the application process, provide some tips, and hopefully answer some of your questions as you're finalizing your application. This is the 38th year of the Chamber's Small Business Awards. This year's application and application process are a direct result of feedback we received after last year's Small Business Awards. Like this, contenders last year told us an information session on how to fill out the application would be helpful. So here we are. It is a privilege to host the Small Business Awards and honor small businesses in our community, and we're looking forward to crowning the winners in September. And I'm not here alone. With me today is Kelly Marsalis, President and CEO of the Plano Chamber of Commerce, who is working with our team this year on the administration of the Small Business Awards. So I'm going to turn it over to Kelly to walk through the next portion of this presentation. Kelly?
Thanks so much, Ashley. I'm really excited to be here. I'm loving learning so much about the Huntsville-Madison County area. I have visited a few times and been to the chamber office, so I'm really excited to learn more about all of your small business community and help out with this process. So let's just jump right in because we're going to cover several items today, and I want to make sure we have plenty of time. So today, as you see on the screen, we're going to go through things like the qualifications, breaking down the application, some scoring information, tips and tricks, and how to submit the application, and then finish up with what the next steps are. So we'll jump right in and talk about, sorry about that. We'll talk about qualifications for the Small Business Awards. So when you open up the application online, you can see these qualifications for any of the award categories, but we're going to go ahead and walk through them. So all the applicants must be a chamber member in good standing. And what that means is your membership in the account must be current through September of 2023. So through the entire process of this application process, we need to make sure that the applicant is a member in good standing. You have to be licensed in the state of Alabama, and you will be asked to produce that license. And then also the applicant must be within the required employee count. So that is under 250 employees. There is an exception in the professional technical services category where the employee count, we break that down into some different categories. So we'll go ahead and talk about that. And it's important to remember that the employee count is the total number of employees for all your locations. So if you have multiple locations, or you might have a business in Huntsville and maybe another community, it is that total number. Applications for the professional technical services category will be in three distinct categories of size categories. So small is 100 or fewer employees. Medium is 101 to 300, and then the large portion is over, it's 301 or above. And so an award will be made in each of those size categories for that particular award. Applicants must also have been actively in business a minimum of 3 years by September 28th, which is the date of the award ceremony or the gala. And the only exception there is the emerging business category, where those applicants must have actively been in business less than 3 years. Applicants in any category must not have received any of the Small Business Awards in the past 3 years. This doesn't exclude the Young Professional of the Year and the Russell G. Brown Executive Leadership Award, because they have some specific qualifications that we'll go through in just a few minutes, but that's a little bit different for those two awards. Applicants, you can apply in more than one category, and each category that you apply in must describe at least 75% of the services or products that you provide, but you'll only be eligible to receive one award. You're more than welcome to apply for more than one, but if as you go through the judging process, you'll only come out eligible to win one of those categories. And then if you do want to compete in more than one category, you have to submit an application for each of those categories. So just keep that in mind. If 75% of what you're doing really falls into two areas, go ahead and submit 2 applications, and just make sure that you have one for each of those. And then one final thing to note is that awards will only be given in those categories if we have 3 or more qualified applicants or 3 contenders. So let's start with going through the application for the Small Business Awards. So there's 5 sections to the
Kelly,
small.
I'm just going to jump in real quick, only because nominees, you received an email with links to the application, and the application for the minority, veteran, and woman-owned business applications, they mirror these sections. There are some differences in questions under the adversity section, but they mirror these sections. So what we're talking about is applicable to both.
Yeah, thank you for that reminder. That is true. So as she mentioned, for both the Small Business Award and the Minority, Veteran, and Women-Owned Business applications, there's 5 sections. The first is about the company. So it's you'll start out adding in some general information at the top of the application, which includes employee count, contact information. This is also where you're going to be asked to provide a copy of your valid business license. And if you're a nonprofit, your 501c status. So whether you're a 501c3, 6, 4, that is where you will need to upload a copy of those documents. And so make sure that you have those ready as you start to fill out the application. So that first section of company description includes questions about the types of products or services that you provide, what your goals and vision are, and what your strategy is as you go through your day-to-day work. The second section then gives you the opportunity to discuss adversity your company or organization has faced and how you've handled it. And at this point, I think it's really important to mention how much we want you to cite specific examples. So I'll give you an example of this. So if you're thinking about what your biggest challenge or obstacle has been, you might want to, maybe for you, it's hiring qualified workers or finding access to talent. Well, be specific about that. What specific types of skills are hard to find, or what about hiring has proved the greatest challenge? Even better, tell us a story about a position that went unfilled and the challenges that it provided. So really think about how you can tell that story using specific examples. So then in section 3, we're going to talk a little bit, you'll need to talk a little bit about your company's leadership philosophy and experience there. So that's where you'll have some questions about specific leadership within the company. The 4th section showcases how you engage in the community. And so as chamber members, we all know how important engagement in the community is and what the business case is for that work. So this is an opportunity to kind of showcase that work. And then finally, the 5th section is asking 3 very specific questions around your company's financial stability. And so that's really important as you get to the end there to answer those questions. Okay, so as I mentioned a minute ago, we want to talk about some additional qualifications and differences in the applications for the Russell G. Brown Executive Leadership Award and also the Young Professional of the Year Award. So let's start with the Russell G. Brown qualifications. Some of these will be a repeat of the Small Business Award, but we want to make sure that we emphasize those. But I will say the one thing that's a little different about the Russell G. Brown Executive Leadership and the Young Professional applications is that it hones in more on the individual versus the entire company. And so you can kind of think about the differences in that respect. So for Russell G. Brown, the applicant must be the owner or founder or currently serve as the CEO or president of a small business or nonprofit organization. That business or nonprofit represented by the applicant must be a current chamber member in good standing, like we mentioned before. We also require the small business or nonprofit represented by the applicant to be within the required employee count. So that is under those 250 employees. And again, that's for all locations. The applicant must have served as the CEO or president of the small business or nonprofit for a minimum of 2 years. So they need to have been in that role for at least 2 years. But then also they must, that business must have been actively in business or an approved organization for a minimum of 3 years by the date of the gala. And then this is where another one of those differences is the applicant must not have received this award or the Entrepreneur or Executive of the Year award in the past 10 years. So there's a 10-year window here for any repeats. And of course, applications are due by close of business on June 12th or 5 p.m. The Russell G. Brown application also looks a little different. So I want to break down this a little bit more specifically because there's some caveats here that I think are really important to mention. So the first section is going to ask all about the company. So this is the section where you have the opportunity to talk about the company that this executive leads, or the organization that they lead. And then section 2 focuses on effective leadership. And so this is, how has that person implemented leadership philosophy, and specific examples of how you've put it into practice. So what is that philosophy, and how are you really living by it as you lead your organization? The third section there talks about leadership traits, and what we're asking here is about specific leadership qualities and how you use them. So things like innovation, influence, trust, integrity. How do you build and display these things within the company and to your employees that really help build a reputation for yourself and your organization? And then finally, with leadership development, is how have you built yourself as a leader, and how are you using that experience to build others in your organization? And so I think it's really, the application serves as a great story of how are you an effective leader? What are those traits, and how are you, setting up future leaders that you're leading as well? So that is the, yeah. Okay, so then for Young Professional of the Year, this again has some distinct qualifications. Again, must be employed by a business or nonprofit that is a current chamber member. They must have been employed by this business for a minimum of 2 years. But this applicant must be 40 years of age or younger as of September 28th. So that is where you want to make sure that the age is within the guidelines. And this is one where the applicant cannot have received the applicant cannot have received the award in the past. So this is a first-time winner situation. Whoops. Okay, so the specific areas about the application include information about the individual. So all about the young professional, where they work, the types of work that they do, some of their experience areas. But then section 2 and 3 break down kind of the 2 primary areas that we want to know about: the career and the community engagement. So how are you building your career? What are you doing within your job that's really making a mark? And then on the other side, community engagement. How do you engage in the community and show some of that leadership capability through the, you could almost call it extracurricular activities that you're doing in the community? And I think it's important to mention here that letters of recommendation are also required for the Young Professional Award. And so you'll want to make sure that you get those letters of recommendation requested and submitted by the deadline as well.
I mean, it is the same deadline for everyone. So your application is due, as well as the submission by your the folks that you've asked to give you a recommendation. That is all due by close of business on June 12th.
Yep. All right, so let's break down the scoring a little bit. So the scoring will be done by at least 3 judges per application, and those judges are either fellow small business owners, peers, or business experts within the field. And so they will have some good experience going into the process. And then on the screen, you'll see a scoring rubric. So every question that is on the application will have a minimum of 0 and a maximum of 10 points. And this is kind of the, this is what is leading the judges on their scoring. So it will really be a good standard scoring approach to all of the applications this year.
I think I just want to add real quick, just kind of emphasize to everyone that Kelly just said that these will be business owners and other chamber professionals. And just as it has been in the past, Kelly is in Plano, Texas. So these applications will all be judged well outside of our region. So just for clarification.
I don't think I know anyone in Huntsville other than the folks at the chamber. So, and I think that's true from not only the folks that we have here in Plano judging, but then also in some other communities that we've recruited as well.
Great.
So let's talk about a few tips. And Ashley, please feel free to jump in at any time, but I want to make sure that we talk a little bit about some of the things that we've seen in other programs and this program, and just kind of some things to either strive for or avoid. One of the biggest ones that I have seen through doing lots of different awards submissions and reading through applications is have a common voice. So it's not uncommon for more than one person to contribute to an application. Now, if it's about the individual, that might be a little different, but for the small business awards or those really focusing on a company, it's really common to see more than one person contribute to that application. So it's a great idea to have one person go through the answers at the end and make sure they're all kind of coming from the same voice. Don't make it really obvious that 2 different people or 3 different people, contributed to that application. It's not that it's wrong, but sometimes it just doesn't read as a cohesive response. Make sure that you really read and answer the question. Make sure that even if you don't think you have a great answer to the question, really stick to that, to what the application is asking for versus kind of going in a different direction. And of course, this seems easy to think about, but don't wait till the last minute. So there's it's always a good idea to check and recheck what you're submitting. And so we highly recommend just jumping on there and doing the application now.
And I would also add to that you can go in and out of the application. Don't forget to hit save, but you can go in, you can work on it, you can step away, and then you can go back. Just make sure you hit submit by 5 p.m. on June 12th.
That's true. And that's one of the, I think, highlights of this, the system that you guys use at the chamber, Ashley, is that you can come in and out of it, because a lot of them you can't. And so that's a really great attribute of this Cognito system. So a few other tips: make sure all the attachments all the attachments are there. Business license, the nonprofit status, your tax ID verification letter. If letters of recommendation are requested, make sure you're getting those in. Just make sure they're all attached. Be very concise. Each of the questions has a word limit, which is visible when you go to answer that question, but just do your best. It doesn't mean you have to hit it. You don't have to use every word. Keep in mind that judges are reading hundreds of these submissions, so you want to be as concise as you can. And then just the last one I would say that's really, really important: check for grammar, spelling, typos, mistakes, especially if you're coming in and out of the application. It's really easy to accidentally hit in the middle of a sentence and start typing, and then it gets kind of jumbled. And one kind of hack for that is, anytime I'm doing anything like this, I keep a Microsoft Word document open on my other screen or in the background, and I will type in what I want to type, and then I'll copy and paste it into Word to give it kind of one more layer of check on if I'm missing anything grammatically. My toxic writing trait is run-on sentences, so Microsoft Word helps me in that manner. I know it won't catch everything, but it's just another great layer of checking.
And Kelly, I would add, we're talking about be concise. We've said, please use examples to really highlight the things that you're doing. And especially when we're talking about multiple people in an application, the other element of that is have somebody else read it. I can't tell you the number of times that I've read the response to a question and I've thought, I know that the person that wrote this knew what they were trying to say, but I'm not so sure I understand what they were trying to say. So yeah. Fill it out and then have somebody else go through it. You're putting your best foot forward. You're explaining your incredible company or your incredible self to folks that aren't from here. And you want to make sure that what you're saying is understood. So it's always a great idea to ask somebody else to kind of read through it and then say, okay, what do you think I said? Or did you understand what I was trying to say?
I think that's a great tip. That is very true. And that lends itself to this next list of things that I wanted to mention. This is really what judges are looking for. And I say this from not only judging a lot of things myself, but also just having managed several awards programs and working with a lot of judges, this is kind of what rises to the top. So we want to read a complete story. We want to really feel like we walk away knowing what is most important to your business and how you're just, you're just really killing it in your community. And so make sure it's a good, well-rounded response. You're hitting all the, major points that are being asked, but it really tells that complete story. Confidence in writing is something that is, it's a real thing. Be very confident. You're your best cheerleader. Make sure you're putting your best foot forward. And that's where these examples and data really helps. If you are really bragging, and I don't use bragging as a bad thing, but if you're really celebrating and bragging on something that you do great, throw some data in there to back it up and really help the reader understand why that's such a great job. We mentioned one voice, and then the last thing I'll say on easy to read, not only do you want to kind of watch too much flowery language, you really want to tell the story in a very easy to read manner, but also kind of double check like industry jargon and abbreviations and things that not everybody would understand, because if I'm judging something in a very scientific category and I'm not an expert necessarily in that field, just kind of help me understand a little bit about that. So make sure that those abbreviations or industry jargon and things like that are just really easy to understand.
We're definitely in a community of a lot of acronyms.
Yes.
And although we have to use acronyms, we want to make sure that the reader understands the point that we're trying to make. So just remember that as you're filling out your application.
And chambers do that too. We as an industry, we love the acronyms, but so we always try to remind ourselves to do that. So we've covered a little bit of this, but just on the submitting the application, once you have checked everything, everything's attached, all your attachments have been uploaded, you've double checked, there's a nice green button at the bottom that says submit. So you want to make sure you hit that by 5 p.m. on Monday, June 12th. Make sure that you've hit that submission. You will get a confirmation email that it's been accepted once it's been verified. So if you don't get something immediately, don't stress. We will be going through and verifying that everything is complete and that the application qualifies for that award. And then we'll send you a confirmation that we've received everything. So give us a couple days after you've submitted to do that. So the next steps, and I will mention I'll talk about it during this judging period, but that application verification will happen from the day they're due through the 25th of June. And this is what I was going to say is this is another reason to not wait till the 12th to submit it, because if you can submit it a little early, we can get it verified much sooner. If we wait till the end when the bulk of them come in, it's going to take us up to 2 weeks to get that information verified and confirmed with you. So just give us a chance to, if you're finished in time, go ahead and submit. The judges will take over on June 26th and have until the end of July to complete their judging. The chamber will announce the contenders by August 10th. So that is when you know if you are in the group of contenders for that award. There'll be a reception honoring those applicants on August 31st. And of course, everyone will gather for the Small Business Awards Gala on September 28th.
I think the only addition I would have to those dates, Kelly, is that for anyone that has questions or still has questions, we do plan to do a Facebook Live Q&A on June 7th. That's a Facebook Live question and answer session on the Small Business Award application on June 7th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, so that'd be a great opportunity for you to jump on, ask questions. We'll be available to answer anything specific and just help with some more tips as we go through. And there are no bad questions, because if you're asking, somebody else is probably wondering the same thing. Yes. So please make sure that you have those questions ready. So Ashley and I are here. We're here to support and help. If it is chamber specific or something about the awards, especially from a historical perspective, Ashley is available. If it's about the application and the process and you need some support, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help you through that and answer any questions I can. If we didn't get through them, if we didn't get to the questions or get through all of them today, reach out by email, and we will be every day we will be checking and responding. So we guarantee we'll get back to you, or at least I will on my side on the application questions. We'll get back to you within 24 hours.
Great.
All right. Well, anything else, Ashley, for you?
That's it. Thank you so much, Kelly. And thank you to all of our nominees that are working on these applications. We're really looking forward to this year's celebration and can't wait to see everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.